The sky over Erebus 9 burned violet the moment the peace talks began. The auroras were supposed to be a symbol of unity, broadcast live across the Galactic Council, to mark humanity's first formal treaty with the Volcari Dominion. Instead, they became the color of betrayal. Commander Rhea Voss watched from the operations tower as the alien warships drifted into orbit, their hulls glinting like obsidian blades. She'd fought these ships before, back when humanity still believed treaties could be earned through courage and compromise. The Volcari didn't negotiate. They calculated. Transmission from the Dominion flagship. Her comms officer reported. Chancellor Vorka Dral requests visual link. Rhea straightened. On screen, the chitinous face of the Volcari Chancellor filled the holoscreen, multifaceted eyes shimmering with contempt. Commander Voss, he said in a voice like cracking stone, you have our gratitude for hosting this meeting. Your cooperation ensures a swift resolution to our territorial concerns. Rhea kept her tone neutral. We seek peace, Chancellor. Humanity has bled enough. Indeed, Dral said. His mandibles twitched. And peace requires the removal of unpredictable elements. Before she could reply, the signal flickered. The alien warships shifted formation. Then the bombardment began. White lances of plasma tore through Erebus 9's atmosphere. Cities evaporated before the warning sirens finished their first wail. The comms tower shuddered as shockwaves rolled across the horizon. Rhea hit the deck, shielding her eyes from the blinding glare. Shields offline, someone screamed. Ground batteries unresponsive. The Dominion wasn't striking military targets. They were racing population centers. Rhea's ears rang as the tower collapsed around her. She clawed her way through twisted metal, her voice hoarse. Evacuate whoever's left. Launch every transport geo. Static answered her. Then silence. Through the smoke, she saw the colony's capital in flames. Millions dead within minutes. The Peace Summit had been a trap, a display. The message was simple. Humanity would kneel or be wiped from the stars. Hours later, beneath the shattered remains of the command bunker, Rhea found a handful of survivors, soldiers, engineers, civilians too stubborn to die quietly. The air reeked of ozone and ash. A medic wrapped a bandage around her arm. Command's gone. Earth won't even get our signal for another 6 hours. Rhea stared at the flickering hologram of Erebus 9's surface, glowing craters where cities once stood. They'll get the message, she murmured. Just not the one Dral expects. A young comms tech swallowed hard. Commander, what are we going to do? Rhea looked at them, tired faces lit by the faint blue of emergency lights. We make sure this isn't forgotten, and when the Dominion looks back at this day, they'll call at the moment they made a mistake. 2 days later, in orbit above the ruins, the Volcari fleet broadcasted a galactic announcement. Dral stood before the council chamber, mandibles raised high, the holographic image of the burning colony behind him. The human uprising has been pacified, he declared to billions. Let this demonstrate the cost of defiance. The Dominion brings order, mercy, when deserved. Humanity chose chaos. Their suffering is their lesson. The council applauded. Only a few species remained silent, their expressions unreadable. But far from the cameras, in the debris field around Erebus 9, a damaged human frigate drifted among the wreckage, powerless, quiet, overlooked. Inside its darkened bridge, Commander Rhea Voss stood before the viewport, staring at the enemy armada. They think we're dead, she said softly. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Gray, limped up beside her. Half of us are. The rest will be soon if we stay. Not yet. Rhea's voice was calm, almost eerily steady. Patch what you can. Strip the wrecks for fuel and oxygen. I want comms online yesterday. Gray frowned. To call for help? She shook her head. To send a message? He hesitated. What message? The kind they can't misinterpret. By the 6th day, the Dominion's fleets had left orbit, their mission complete. The galactic media cycle moved on. The Erebus 9 incident was archived as a minor border correction. The dead were statistics. The survivors were ghosts. Inside the crippled frigate, Rhea sat in the glow of the last active terminal, recording a transmission for Earth. Her uniform was torn, her face streaked with soot, yet her eyes burned with something the aliens had never understood: human defiance. "This is Commander Rhea Voss of the Erebus, 9 Defense Command," she began. "The Dominion has broken the Treaty of Zalterra. They've exterminated every civilian settlement in this sector. This was not war, it was murder." She leaned closer to the camera. "If the Council won't act, humanity will. We will not fade quietly into your archives. We will not beg for mercy. You've shown us what peace means in this galaxy. Now you'll see what happens when humanity stops pretending to be civilized." She ended the transmission and turned to her crew. "Prepare the ship. We're going hunting." Gray gave a grim smile. "With what weapons?" Rhea's gaze flicked toward the debris field outside, the shattered hulls of hundreds of destroyed ships. "With theirs." As Erebus 9's shattered moon rose over the burning world, the first sparks of rebellion ignited. Across human space, fragments of her transmission spread through pirate networks, refugee fleets, and Black Ops channels. Every listener heard the same cold promise: when humans say, "Hold my beer," it means the universe is about to regret something. Far away, in the Dominion capital, Chancellor Vorkadral reviewed the report from Erebus 9. Casualties, total. Resistance, none. Probability of retaliation, negligible. He signed the document with lazy precision and turned to his aides. "Mark the human territories as pacified. Begin redistribution of resources." None of them noticed a faint, untraceable signal piggybacking on their own network, a human beacon whispering across the stars. The wreckage of Erebus 9 drifted silently in the void, a graveyard of twisted metal and frozen bodies. Weeks had passed since the Dominion declared humanity pacified. But beneath that silence, human hands were moving, building, stealing, adapting. Inside the derelict frigate Resolute, Commander Rhea Voss stood at the tactical table, its faint blue holograms flickering across her scarred face. Around her, a skeleton crew worked with the quiet efficiency of the desperate. The ship still bore the scorch marks of orbital fire, but its engines now hummed faintly, resurrected from alien scrap. Lieutenant Gray slid a data chip across the table. "Survey report from the debris field. We've recovered 4 Dominion drones and 1 active power core." Rhea inserted the chip, reviewing the schematics. "Integrate the power core into our reactor. Strip the drones for AI fragments. I want to know how they track movement." Gray hesitated. "You think we can hack Volcari systems with this mess?" Rhea's gaze lifted. "I don't think. I intend to." The bridge fell silent as she spoke. Her tone wasn't arrogance, it was certainty. Across the ship, scavenged alien consoles flickered to life under human hands. Engineers rewired Dominion circuitry, combining it with crude human tools. Where the aliens used sterile precision, humans applied reckless innovation, bolting, splicing, forcing incompatible systems to obey. Days turned into weeks. The survivors of Erebus 9 multiplied as distress signals brought hidden transports and crippled ships into orbit. From a handful, they became a fleet of ghosts, refugees welded into warriors. Rhea convened a council in the Resolute's cargo bay, surrounded by hollow-eyed men and women wearing mismatched armor. "The galaxy thinks we're dead," she began. "Good. That's our advantage." A murmur rippled through the room. "We don't have the numbers or the ships to fight them head-on," she continued. "But we have something they don't: imagination. They follow doctrine. We improvise. They fear chaos. We are chaos." An old colonel leaned forward. "You plan to hit them?" Rhea nodded. "Hard enough that they start questioning their own systems. We'll make them believe humanity became a myth. The kind of myth that hunts you in your sleep." Gray added quietly, "Operation name?" Rhea stared at the holographic Dominion map, a spiderweb of supply routes and outposts. Her voice dropped. "Revenant." The first target was a Dominion logistics station orbiting the barren moon of Arcus. It stored fuel cells, food rations, and communication relays, the arteries of the Volcari fleet. The Resolute approached under a false transponder code ripped from a salvaged drone. Dominion controllers didn't question the signature. Humans were extinct, after all. Inside the command deck, tension hung like static. Distance to target, 2,000 kilometers, Gray reported. Maintain stealth vector, Rhea ordered. All weapons cold. The plan was brutal in its simplicity. They dock, overload the station's power grid, and vanish before anyone realized who had done it. The docking clamps engaged with a hiss. A boarding team in patched-up suits stepped into the airlock. Rhea led them personally, her pulse steady despite the thrum of danger. The Dominion corridors gleamed with sterile silver light. The alien air smelled faintly acidic. Their technology was elegant, efficient, and cold. A soldier whispered, "Feels wrong being here." Rhea didn't answer. She moved like a shadow, rifle raised, eyes scanning. They reached the main reactor chamber. Pulsing blue energy encased in translucent armor. Gray status. Docking still undetected. You've got 5 minutes before their cycle sweep. Rhea connected a cable to the reactor's control port. The human-made virus uploaded through alien systems, like a whisper through glass. Dominion protocols tried to reject the intrusion, but the code was different, adaptive, unpredictable, messy. Human. Virus planted, she said. Pull back. The team withdrew. The moment the Resolute detached, the virus triggered. The reactor went critical, not explosively but catastrophically. Every containment field misaligned by a fraction of a second. The resulting implosion consumed the entire station, leaving only vapor and silence. Gray grinned as the shockwave rippled through space. No one will believe it wasn't sabotage. They'll believe what they want, Rhea replied. Just make sure they fear the right thing. Within a month, 3 more Dominion outposts vanished. Communications satellites blinked out mid-transmission. Fuel convoys never arrived. Dominion captains reported ghost ships in the dark, hulls without signatures, weapons firing from nowhere. In the Galactic Council, murmurs began to spread. Are the humans still alive? Impossible. They were eradicated. Then explain the wreckage. When a Dominion intelligence fleet attempted to ambush a suspected human cell, they instead found their own ships infected with human malware. Navigation systems flipped coordinates, weapons locked onto friendly vessels, and fleets turned on themselves. Chancellor Drawl slammed his claws against the command table. Find them. I want proof. An aide trembled. We can't. The humans hide in the systems we control. They use our code, our engines. We cannot isolate them. Drawl hissed. Then burn the sectors until there is nothing left. Back aboard the Resolute, Rhea listened to intercepted transmissions from Dominion fleets. Panic disguised as protocol. Each success brought grim satisfaction, but it wasn't victory yet. Gray joined her at the viewport. They're scared, Commander. You've made them bleed. Not enough, she said quietly. Not yet. He studied her expression. You're not stopping, are you? Rhea shook her head. Erebus, 9 deserves more than fear. They deserve balance. Revenge, Gray said. Justice, she corrected. Revenge ends with them. Justice ends when the galaxy remembers who we are. The next mission would prove that point. Instead of a stealth strike, Rhea planned an overt attack on a Dominion war factory. A bold move meant to show the galaxy that humans were no longer ghosts but hunters. Her engineers had fused human drives with captured Dominion cores, producing ships that burned faster, hit harder, and looked like nothing seen before. Hybrid vessels, ugly, unpredictable, effective. When the fleet deployed, the void shimmered with fractured light as each ship jumped simultaneously. The Dominion factory's sensors barely registered them before the first volley struck. Metal screamed. Alarms blared. Within minutes, human forces breached the structure, planting charges along every assembly line. Rhea stood on the bridge as the explosions bloomed across the facility. Message ready? Gray nodded. Broadcast channel open. Rhea's voice carried through every Dominion frequency. This is Commander Rhea Voss of the Human Defense Fleet. You thought we were extinct. You were wrong. We are the children of Death Worlds, the architects of chaos. You burned our home. Now we'll show you what comes after fire. The transmission cut as the factory exploded into a blinding storm of debris. Across the galaxy, the words echoed. Alien fleets changed patrol routes. Trade convoys halted. The phrase, "hold my beer," began circulating in alien slang, a coded reference to humanity's madness. Rhea watched the destruction fade into the stars, her reflection cold and calm. "They wanted to teach us fear," she said. "Now the lesson begins." The Resolute turned toward the next system, its engines glowing like the spark of an oncoming inferno. The Dominion called it the Season of Silence. Every week, another fleet disappeared. Convoys never arrived. Outposts reported static, then nothing. Entire sectors went dark. The Dominion tried to suppress the truth, but whispers spread. The humans are back. Inside the Resolute, Commander Rhea Voss studied a holographic map, glowing red with Dominion casualties. The light reflected off her scarred face, etching the exhaustion beneath her calm. Around her, the bridge hummed with quiet determination. 5 more systems abandoned, Lieutenant Gray reported. "They're pulling back toward the inner rim." "Good," Rhea said. "That's where we want them." Gray frowned. "You're driving them into their strongest territory." She didn't look up. "I'm driving them into fear. It burns deeper than fire." The human fleet had grown from scattered survivors into a coordinated force of hybrid vessels. Each ship was an act of defiance, half Dominion metal, half human improvisation. Their weapons overheated, their engines screamed, but they hit harder than anything the galaxy had seen. Rhea's orders were simple: no frontal assaults. No warnings. Hit fast, vanish faster. The humans had become phantoms, striking from shadows, hacking enemy systems, using Dominion technology against them. Every attack left a calling card, a brief message pulsing across enemy screens. Erebus remembers. In the Dominion capital, Chancellor Vorkadral's temper shredded the room's composure. "How does a primitive race cripple our fleets?" The intelligence minister trembled. "They've turned our systems against us. Their code mutates, like a living organism. We counter one virus, 3 more appear. Then burn the sectors." Dral snapped. "Make the void itself hostile." The minister hesitated. "Our fleets are afraid, Chancellor. Crews are abandoning posts. They believe humanity has become something else." Dral's mandibles flared. "Then we'll show them the truth. Summon the Grand Fleet. Every ship. Every soldier." When the message reached the Resolute, Rhea studied the decoded transmission in silence. "So," she murmured, "he's bringing everything." Gray exhaled slowly. "That's millions of tons of firepower. We can't stand against that." "We don't stand against it," Rhea replied. "We make it destroy itself." Her plan unfolded like a knife. The Dominion relied on predictable tactics, formations, ranks, protocols. Humanity thrived in chaos. They would lure the Grand Fleet into the Kale Rift, a gravitational storm that warped sensors and communications. The Dominion's discipline would become their cage. The trap was set. Inside the swirling rift, the void bent light into ghostly arcs. Human ships waited within the turbulence, invisible against the distortion. "Enemy fleet entering the outer edge," Gray said. 2,000 vessels. Rhea stood motionless, watching the holographic display. "Hold fire." The Dominion advanced in perfect formation, order cutting through chaos. At the precise moment their center crossed the threshold, Rhea whispered, "Now." A signal pulsed through the rift. Hidden mines detonated, distorting gravity wells and tearing apart the front lines. Human warships appeared from the storm, their drives glowing like lightning. "Target their command relays," Rhea ordered. The Resolute's railguns roared, slamming through cruisers before shields could realign. Dominion captains shouted orders, but their comms fractured into static. AI guidance systems failed. Ships turned their weapons on allies. Gray's voice cut through the chaos. "They're folding in on themselves." Rhea's gaze never left the screen. Exactly as planned. One by one, Dominion vessels collided, detonating in blinding arcs of plasma. The Kale Rift became a burning graveyard. When it was over, only silence remained again. Hours later, Rhea stood alone on the Resolute's observation deck, staring at the drifting debris. The battle's light still glimmered faintly across her reflection. Gray entered quietly. "We broke the Grand Fleet." She didn't answer immediately. Not broke, she said finally. Exposed. Exposed. To themselves, she explained. They saw fear. Once a species sees its own weakness, it can't unsee it. Gray's eyes dropped. We've lost too many. Rhea nodded. That's the cost of being underestimated. In the Dominion capital, panic turned to fury. Chancellor Drawl clawed at his throne's armrest, shattering the alloy. They've turned our greatest fleet into wreckage, he roared. They dare challenge the Dominion itself. A trembling aide whispered. They call themselves the Inferno Fleet now. Drawl froze. Inferno. Yes, Chancellor. They burn everything they touch. Drawl's mandibles quivered. Then we burn them. Target Earth. If humanity wants to rise from ashes, we'll scatter them to dust. The message reached Rhea hours later, intercepted from Dominion Command. She read it once, her face hardening. They're coming for Earth, Gray said quietly. Rhea turned toward the viewport, stars reflecting in her eyes like distant fires. They think they're striking at our heart, she said. But Earth doesn't need protection, it needs purpose. What do we do? She smiled faintly, grim and fearless. We go home. Gray hesitated. That's suicide. Rhea looked at him sharply. No, that's humanity. Word of the Rift massacre spread across the galaxy. Neutral worlds that once dismissed humanity began fortifying borders. Pirate clans pledged allegiance to the Inferno Fleet. Refugees carried Rhea's broadcasts through hidden channels, each one ending with the same phrase. Do not underestimate the children of Earth. In the quiet after chaos, Rhea stood before her crew. They were battered, hollow-eyed, but unbroken. This isn't the end, she told them. It's the turning point. They believe destroying Earth will end us. They've forgotten. Humans don't fear endings. We create new beginnings from them. The crew rose, voices low but resolute. For Erebus, someone whispered. Rhea nodded. For every name they tried to erase. The Resolute turned toward the distant light of Sol, engines igniting like the flare of a coming storm. The Dominion had unleashed the fire. Now it would learn what burned hotter than vengeance. Human resolve. Earth waited. The sky above the homeworld shimmered with the faint glow of defense grids newly awakened after centuries of peace. Every city had gone dark, every orbiting station silenced. Humanity had pulled back into its cradle, but not to hide, to sharpen. From her flagship Resolute, Commander Rhea Voss watched the stars flicker with incoming enemy signals. The Dominion fleet was massive, spreading across the system like a shadow blotting out sunlight. Lieutenant Gray's voice cut through the hum of consoles. Chancellor Drawl's flagship confirmed. Central position. Estimated 3,000 warships. Rhea's expression didn't change. All of them. Every ship the Dominion can spare. She nodded. Good. Saves us the trouble of hunting them later. In the Dominion Command Vessel Spear of Order, Chancellor Vorka Drawl loomed over the viewport, mandibles tightening as Earth grew larger on screen. So this is the cradle of humanity, he said. A primitive rock clinging to nostalgia. The Fleet Admiral bowed. Their defenses appear minimal, Chancellor. Once we breach orbit, we begin atmospheric sterilization. Drawl's tone was almost ceremonial. Make it absolute. Let no trace remain. When the Dominion crossed lunar orbit, the trap snapped shut. Hidden beneath the moon's surface, humanity's hybrid armada emerged. Hundreds of ships built from scavenged alien cores and human ingenuity. They rose like ghosts from the shadows, engines burning bright blue, drives humming with fury. Gray's hand trembled slightly as he whispered, "They're here, Commander." Rhea stood, her voice steady, broadcast to all ships. Across the fleet, her voice filled the comms. "This is Commander Rhea Voss of the Human Defense Coalition. The Dominion came to erase us. Instead, they will remember us. For Erebus. For every name they burned. Today, humanity answers." The transmission ended. The silence that followed lasted a heartbeat. Then space erupted. The battle for Earth began without warning. Human vessels dove through the Dominion formation, firing with savage precision. Hybrid railguns tore through cruisers. EMP warheads shut down carriers, and orbital mines detonated like stars dying. The Dominion responded with overwhelming force, but coordination failed almost instantly. Human interference fractured their networks. Their own systems turned traitor. On the Resolute's bridge, alarms wailed, but Rhea's focus remained absolute. Redirect all power to forward batteries. Aim for Draal's flagship. Gray blinked. That's suicide. So is existence, she said and fired. The first volley slammed into the Spear of Order's shields, cracking them open like glass. Draal's command crew scrambled. How are they inside our targeting grid? He shouted. Unknown, Chancellor. Our systems are rewriting themselves. Human malware spread through the Dominion fleet like wildfire, each infected system rewriting command hierarchies. Chaos blossomed. The Resolute burned as it advanced. Hull plates melted, but it kept moving, punching through debris fields. Gray shouted over the noise. Hull integrity's down to 40%. Rhea didn't look away from the viewport. Then we still have 40 left. They broke through the last Dominion line and faced Draal's flagship head-on. The Spear of Order loomed, a fortress of black steel and arrogance. Bring us closer, Rhea ordered. Gray's eyes widened. Boarding distance? Closer. The Resolute's prow slammed into the Dominion ship with a thunderous impact. Airlock sealed, cutting through armor. Human Marines surged forward, weapons drawn, fury barely contained. Rhea led the charge. The corridors of the Spear of Order glowed crimson with emergency lights. Dominion soldiers fell under disciplined human fire. The air stank of ozone and blood. Gray covered Rhea as they pushed toward the throne chamber. You really think he's still here? She reloaded calmly. Tyrants never flee until it's too late. The chamber doors burst open. Draal stood surrounded by flickering holoscreens displaying the ruin of his empire. Fleets burning, systems collapsing, the Dominion's banner crumbling. He turned as Rhea entered, his mandibles spreading in disbelief. You, he hissed. A child of dirt dares stand before me? Rhea's rifle lowered. A child of dirt built everything you fear. You think this changes the order of the galaxy? Draal spat. You're an infection. No, she said, stepping closer. We're the immune response. He lunged, claws extended, but she fired once. The shot punched through his chest, scattering bioluminescent blood across the command dais. Draal staggered, his voice rasping. You can't stop what we are. Rhea watched him fall. Neither could you. When she returned to the bridge, Earth filled the viewport. The Dominion fleet was gone. What wasn't destroyed had fled into deep space. Fires burned across orbit, lighting the void in shades of orange and blue. Gray approached quietly. It's over. Rhea's reply was soft. No, it's begun. He looked at her, confused. What do you mean? She gestured toward Earth. We survived. The galaxy will have to live with that. He smiled faintly. And if they come again? Then they'll remember today, she said, and raise the threat level before we even arrive. Weeks later, the Galactic Council reconvened under emergency session. Footage from the battle spread across every world. Humans fighting to the last, burning an empire that once ruled half the stars. Species that had mocked humanity now spoke their name with respect or fear. Trade routes shifted. Alliances fractured. Power realigned around the fact that humans, fragile, stubborn humans, had toppled the unbreakable. In orbit above Earth, the rebuilt Resolute drifted silently, her hull engraved with new words. Erebus 9 remembered. Rhea stood alone on the observation deck, watching sunrise curve across the planet below. For the first time in years, the light felt warm. Gray's voice came over comms. Fleet Command's asking what we call this new alliance. Rhea smiled faintly. Call it whatever you want. Just make sure they know we're done hiding. He paused. What should I tell them is our standing order? Her eyes stayed on Earth's horizon. Simple, she said. If anyone threatens our home again. She turned, the faintest edge of a grin breaking through the weariness. Tell them humanity already has a phrase for that. Hold my beer. The transmission ended. The stars burned quietly, as if listening. And across the galaxy, The story of the species that refused extinction spread. The tale of humans, the fire that would never die.